Welcome to the Shapeshifters, the Untold Stories of Manufacturing. The podcast we are telecasting from Die and Mould India 2024 exhibition organized by TAGMA India. In this edition, I am having with me Mr. Manoj Sundaram. He is the head of business development called ZEISS India. Quality. See, when I hear about ZEISS, always the one thing which comes to me is quality and tool making.
Yeah.
When it comes to tool makers, maybe before 20 years, I don't know how much quality was important to them. I'm not very sure. But there is an evolution today. How do you see quality is becoming a very primary part in this tool maker community?
Tool making industry is the mother industry of manufacturing. Mostly tool makers, whatever we use is basically like talk about this water bottle or you talk about whatever common man uses. It's mostly out of the tool making industry what comes out, mostly to do with plastics. So when you talk about quality, one of the most important changes what has happened post-COVID, where every one of us and the family can perceive is the packaging quality. You look at a coffee cup, you look at the lunch boxes, you look at all the plastics or even in fact where they are avoiding plastics, you have other materials being used. So everywhere tool making is critical because you see that the methodology, the packaging has evolved is awesome. This used to be the case in developed countries, but today in the last 4-5 years we have seen this happening in a very big way, and that basically is connecting back to the development of tool makers and development of quality. See, basically when you start handling a coffee cup, the way the lid fits in, the way the lid is comfortable to open, you have to open the lid without spilling the cup of coffee. Please understand, that is where the usage of a tool fitment comes into picture. The lid is made separate, the cup is separate, but when it has to fit in perfectly, it should not leak, but when you want to open it, it should not spill. You see, that is the
Thought process.
That is the thought process, that is the workmanship. What you would see in a developed country is now happening in India. So naturally, tool makers have definitely taken on to the quality stream, and they are delivering products which we are using in everyday life. So I really value that because many facets I see. Because being a person in the quality regime, I look at the fit, finish, the way the knurling does not affect your fingers. All these things matter, and all these things come out of tooling.
See, even when we talk about, if I think about an evolution of automotive sector, earlier we had this, ambassador, Make in India car or Premier Padmini. It was all mechanical. It's all aluminium or the iron or
Steel, sheet metal, bending
and all these things. Very less plastics.
Correct.
Today, it is completely reversible. And I think that given the flexibility of the automakers to come out with models every other. If you see the evolution of WagonR over years, it is also so huge. So this also becomes a big challenge for tool makers to give tools faster and also the finest productivity, high production molds, and each mold should give that finish to those plastics. So in that, how they can bring precision and how they can measure the quality there.
See, when it comes to large dies and molds, what we talk about in the cars, the development, the evolving of the sheet metal industry has taken place in a big way relating to this die and mold. Even the sheet metal, the methodology of aluminium sheets which are being used. When you paint a surface, like you spoke about Ambassador, so I'm telling, Ambassador never used to give you a finish which was eye-catching. Let's face it, okay, it was a good product, everything is fine, but it was never eye-catching. One of the major reasons for eye-catching modern cars, you will not believe, it is the surface finish on the sheet metal. When the sheet metal is rolled and the rolled steel comes out, total internal reflection, right? Like in the reflectors. The same technology is adopted in the sheet metals. The sheet metal structures are given a 45-degree angle in the surface so that they can reflect and they can hold paint to the relatively requisite area. And not that if you put too much paint, you can't get a good finish. If you put too little paint, it is not good. So you need a certain buckets in the sheet metal. So the quality, I mean, as you said, it has started from the sheet metal covering. It has gone plastic all over because we have to have light weighting. So, and the second problem with plastics when you use is rattling. So what happens is the fit and finish has to be good not for the first 3 months, but for the next 10 years.
10, 15 years.
That is where the difference is perceived when you pay more for a car. On day 1, day 10, I think most cars will be good. But why a certain segment car is always good 5 years down the line, that is where the quality, the kind of precision they have taken in the dies, molds, screws, the finishing, everywhere, finally what you discussed, the fine finish, right from the shape. You mentioned a very important point in the discussion that tool makers shape things. They shape, the fine finish, the mild chamfers, those things are very, very important. And the one who takes interest in measuring them perfectly is the one who wins.
When we talk about the future mobility, I think we are on a learning curve. Indian companies are on a learning curve. There is a lot to be achieved. But I see that you as one person who champions this, you always talk about future mobility, EVs and all this. And I believe that also gives a lot of opportunities as well as challenges to the tool makers to bring more lightweight components.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you think that they will be able to see these challenges into opportunities?
There are two challenges here and today. One is the lightweighting and also longevity. Longevity and that NVH quotient what comes in. Noise, vibration, harshness quotient which comes along with the EV. Because EV is noiseless, so then you have to make your structure very, very robust at the same time lightweight. So people are adopting to using higher value products like even on simple products they're trying to use our optical scanner systems, or they use multiple iterations using the CMMs to do a stronger quality control. They use what is called to measure the chamfer and the surface finish and so on. So that is our prima facie, our work, what we do. And in EV it is 3x, you can say. The kind of quality consciousness what is required is 3x, because today you don't even understand what all would fail. So you would like to have a much more stringent quality control on most of the elements. One element could be the motor casings. So motor casings used to be in the traditional motors used to be, weight is not a component. So you can make it using steel, magnetic steel and all that. But here weight is a major constraint in EV. So you have to make it using aluminum. So aluminum is non-magnetic. So then you will have to multiple layers of steel embedded in it, at the same time make it lighter and make the casing walls thinner as possible. So these are the kind of challenges where when you make it thinner, then you are compromising it somewhere. You have to have the sturdiness and the longevity. So that is where they use certain techniques in X-ray to see that aluminum porosities are not there. So I think it is like a chain of events. Aluminum is porous. It's like making your sweet. It's almost like cooking. So if you have a lot of porous content, it can break very fast. So these are all multiple challenges which come up. They have avoided a lot of challenges by removing the engine blocks, but they are also coming out with different sets of challenges.
Flexibility is there, but again there are going to, even for that the battery, you also work a lot on the battery tech. So I have seen that some of the Indian mold makers is making this battery the enclosures, they design and then first they made the mold because it is very costly. In India people don't go, so that's what we were importing lots of parts from China and other, because volume is not there. But there was a mold maker in Pune, Tessin, and they were making this mold, and later the French company told you only make the parts and give. So there, and whenever I go to this mold maker, the tool makers, and I'm seeing that there is a CMM there.
Yeah.
Most of the places I see this ZEISS CMM. So every mold needs to be precisely checked.
Naturally, right? Naturally. I mean, I come back to my first point that it is we as consumers who demand that quality. So when you demand the whatever items you use have the first order, then the corresponding mold when it is getting manufactured has to be of the highest requisite precision. I won't say highest precision. It depends what is the level of precision what is required. And today there is one more reason why mold makers were making good molds even in the past without CMMs. In the sense, there are first principle methods which you can adopt, but first principle method of measurements require a lot of thought, a lot of learning. Today people don't have
Craftsmanship you are talking.
craftsmanship, exactly, which is not there today. The youngsters come out with different skills, and once you are exposed to a CMM, you don't learn first principle. It is like, you used to count notes, and today you don't count notes because you don't even handle them. So
Now,
how do you?
I was talking about this first principle to a couple of other people, but then there is no other solution. At least they're telling that they're even not getting a person to run a smart
I
machine.
won't say smart, exactly. Skilled person. Skilled people are less available. So people are graduating more to CMMs because of that purpose. More to optical scanners because you scan an object, then you can get the complete 3D data. Whereas this 3D data, you can pick it up only, it is basically one line which is rotated. I mean, assume this is a cylinder. So it's nothing but one line rotated 360 degrees. That is a shape. But today, you need to do a lot of manual work to get there. Whereas you have an easy way, you can scan it from a mobile or scan it from.
And I know that for
skill is
NPD,
changing. Yeah.
for NPD, one of the biggest challenge of these tool makers that there is an idea you bring out, so they are able to give. I think ZEISS is also as a company is having a lot of solutions. I think you have this GOM.
GOM solutions.
And
correct.
you have this scanners which
Exactly. Optical scanners, what we call. These optical scanners can help, people realize a lot of things which used to take weeks to do it. Today they are able to realize it much more in a much more quicker way. So mold makers are see another reason when it comes to EV and cars. Earlier, again coming back to Ambassador, maybe you had one car model released in 4 years. Then it became 4 models in a year. Today it is 4 models in a month.
yeah.
And you have to differentiate because consumer demands differentiation. You have to differentiate. The reflector you want to change a little bit, and if you change it, maybe you don't get the air drag. Then you have to do iterations. And all these things for all the 600 components in a car, if you have to do it 6 times, imagine the number of dies molds required. You cannot work in the same traditional method. You need to have manufacturing methods, quality methods, data collection methods, everything to be assimilated so that you can commit to development of a mold in the quickest way possible. So, but just to be there, if you look at TAGMA's book, which is out here, they said 35% of molds are still imported in a very big way. So
that itself is a great achievement, right?
Yeah, correct. So we are doing 65%.
Yes.
Which is a great achievement.
And then we are exporting also. Some of the molds we are exporting, and we are talking about speed time. Now this is something, a new term what I learned. And otherwise China, they can give faster delivery, maybe in the export market, and there are a lot of challenges. I want to ask you a last question.
Yeah, sure.
Let it be. See, you are a person who goes and talk in different seminars and all these things. What is the message? As a person who have seen technology in advance, the measures a tool maker should take today for the future.
I will, instead of talking about the future, I will talk about what happened, not necessarily about tool makers, about the automotive world where we have been reasonably successful. Having worked in the industry for 20-25 years, I have grown up with a lot of tier 2 companies. So one of my favorite stories, I would say, most of the tier 2 companies in the 2000s, the end 1990s and the 2000s, who invested in quality or CMMs, which were only available with OEMs. But there were certain tier 2 guys, engineers, technocrats, who decided, no, I cannot produce my component without this tool. I know this is the future. They were able to see and invest. All those companies today are multi-thousand crore companies. So it is never a flaw in your thought process to invest in a quality tool which will definitely serve you in the long run. Quality, it's like we say when you when you make a product, the product's quality is known a few years later. It doesn't come out in the initial stages, but it pays for itself as you go along.
So quality is something we cannot put an ROI just today.
We cannot put an ROI just today. That is exactly the point. You have to wait for it. It's like education. Can you put an ROI on it? Yeah. So quality is like education. So you will have to invest continuously. You have to do a part of your investment in quality, and that will pay back.
Education is something like we learn every day.
Correct.
But until and unless our foundation is not right,
Exactly.
we will not be able to really learn the right way.
the right
And I think quality for you, whatever he is telling, the fundamental quality measures tools are not right.
Correct.
How much you go there and invest
much you
later
go
also doesn't help you. This
So
is
the starting point is very, very critical, and the starting point to have an element of quality in the starting stage when you are founding yourself as a company, as an entrepreneur, as a die mold company, a little bit of investment in quality would definitely serve you in a long run.
no, not a little bit, a good amount of, not money I am telling. See, today everyone is having money. The luxury is the time.
Yeah, right.
If we can put time in quality, even it matters to me also, I am telling you, the result is going to be something that, as you told, again, I don't want to count it with money, the whatever turnover. I would like to tell you the kind of passionate job you do, how you make the comfortable level of your customers is what for me success.
Right, exactly.
Thanks. I learned a lot seriously on this discussion.
It's mutual. I think that's a wonderful discussion to discuss not about products, not about companies, but about what we have seen. And as we always say these days, that we are in the crux of a mammoth. I think that's unbelievable what customers come and tell us. Yeah,
that's visible.
It's visible, and the right time, good time for all of us to be here.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Hari.
I wish you all the best.
Modern initiatives in media.
Thank you.
Thank you.